Hello everyone, welcome back to Vickie's Country Home. Tonight is going to be one of those family recipes that always just takes you back to your childhood. It's also a frugal recipe, so win-win. This is something we ate a lot when I was growing up, and it was inexpensive, but it always tasted so good. So tonight I'm going to make my mama's goulash, and this is how she made it. I know there's a million others out there, but this is the one I grew up eating. And it's a little different because a lot of the goulash I've seen is made with macaroni. She made one with macaroni sometimes too, and basically it was pretty much the same. But the one I remember the most, she made it with vermicelli. Now, growing up, we didn't buy the vermicelli this way. It came in a little, I believe it was yellow box. And it was not these long pieces. So what I'm going to do is break this up to make it more like what we used to eat. So let me show you what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is break up some of this vermicelli, and I don't think we're going to use the whole box. We'll have to see. This is a 1 pound box, but her recipe calls for 1 to 1.5 cups. And again, it's not going to be these long pieces, so what I'm going to do is just take some out without getting it everywhere. And I think I'm going to break it maybe into about thirds, because that's what I remember it being. It's kind of hard to measure since these pieces are not the same, but we're going to eyeball it. I'm going to guess that's about 1.5 cups, and that's, no, I may add just a tiny bit more, about half a pound. Now I'm going to move that away. Now what I'm going to do is I've got my cast iron skillet out, and I'm going to brown the vermicelli. And if you've seen me made my pan-fried spaghetti, it's like that. Kind of like when you've made rice-a-roni. Same thing. We're just going to brown the noodles just a bit. So let me take you over there and we'll get started. Alright, I've got my skillet warmed up. It's not hot yet, but it's pretty warm. And I'm just going to pour some olive oil in the bottom of this pan. Now growing up, I don't think she used olive oil. She probably used Crisco or vegetable oil of some kind, but this is what I use. And now I'm just going to pour this vermicelli in there. And we're going to brown this up until it's a nice golden brown. So let me get this done and we'll come back and I'll show you what that looks like. Alright. It's brown enough for what I'm going to do, so I'm going to get all this out of here and I'm going to put it on a plate. Alright, I've got the vermicelli out, and now I'm going to take 1 pound of ground beef. And this is 93.7, but you know what? It doesn't matter. And I'm just going to get this all browned. So I'm going to get it broke up a little bit. And I'm going to add about 1 large and 1 small clove of finely minced garlic. I've got about a half a teaspoon of pink salt, half a teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, and it's a little over a teaspoon of freshly ground cumin or comino seeds that I ground in my molcajete. So I'm going to add them to that also. Alright, I've switched to a bigger skillet because I think it's going to be pretty full. So now that we've got the ground beef browned, we're going to add back in that vermicelli. Now I've got one 28-ounce can of whole peeled tomatoes. And what we want to do is just cut those in half. You can do this however you want. I cut some in the can before I poured it, but you just don't want whole ones in there. And then we're going to add 1 can of water. Yeah, it's probably good I've moved it to this larger pan. I haven't made this in so many years. This is one of those that you just kind of forget about. Okay, now what we're going to do is put a lid on this, turn it, keep it about medium, and we're going to just cook this until the vermicelli is tender and has absorbed the water. So that's it. We'll come back in a little bit and take a look. This is bubbling away beautifully. Now, I had a loaf of sourdough bread that I made a couple days, 2-3 days ago, and it's gotten pretty hard and we didn't get it eaten. So I'm going to try refreshing this. I wet this down really well with just stuck it under the water, and it could be warm or cold, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to put this in the oven, and I'm going to try around 325 degrees for maybe somewhere between 6 and 10 minutes, but you want to watch it. So we're going to experiment with this and see how it works. Alright, my goulash is done. You can see there's no standing water left in it, so it's all been cooked out. I did add some more salt, pepper, and I added some garlic powder because I always taste and I adjust by doing that. And then I thought I wanted a little more tomato taste, so I added some tomato powder, but that's optional. You don't have to do that. That's not what we grew up doing, but I just liked a little bit more tomato flavor. So we're going to see how my bread came out. And again, for those of you that are going to say something about that high-pitched sound in the background, that is my range. I can't control it. That's a fan on the oven. The bread is crunchy on the outside, but it's soft. So we'll cut a slice of that and take a taste too. Well, it wasn't recording. So I cut open this loaf, and the inside crumb is nice and soft. The outside is crunchy. Not quite as crunchy as freshly made, but still pretty good. And I put some butter on here. It tastes wonderful. The crust is just a little bit softer than it would be freshly baked, but not bad. And I saved a loaf of sourdough bread that I would have made breadcrumbs or croutons out of or fed to the chickens because we didn't get to it, and it was hard as a rock. So as you can see, it did revive this, and I'm really happy about that. Isn't that beautiful? All right, let's give this a taste. That's good. Just like childhood. I did add a little bit of more spice to it, but it is really good. And this is a nice, easy, quick, frugal recipe that you can feed your family. So I think the bread, I'm very happy about that, and I'm happy about this too. So thank you for watching. Please give me a comment, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and hit the notification bell. God bless, and we'll talk again soon.